Veronica has 2 children, and Jilian has 4. That's 6 kids without their mother. Let that sink in. So this granny here, whatever the hell you want to call her, I call her a monster. This monster right here, along with her compadres, the other 3, committed this heinous act and thought it was okay and thought that they would get away with it. How the I'm holding back. How the F did they think that they were going to just get away with this? They think they were just going to throw him in a hole and that nobody was going to say, hey, where are they? Where's Veronica? Where's Jilian?
According to documents obtained by 2 News, Tifany Adams, the grandmother of Butler's children, and her boyfriend, Tad Cullum, along with friends Cora and Earl Twombly, plotted to kill Butler because she was trying to get custody of her children who were in Adams' care.
Details from the summary medical examiner's reports confirm the cause of death for 2 Kansas moms. The reports say that Jilian Kelley and Veronica Butler died from sharp force trauma. KSN News expects to get the full report from the medical examiner on November 15th. And court filings from September claim that Paul Grice stabbed both women. 4 of the suspects will be back in court in Oklahoma on December 17th for preliminary hearings, and a 5th suspect waived his right to a hearing.
Those investigators found a knife, clothing, tape, and a stun gun buried under the freezer. The evidence now in OSBI custody.
This means that they were abducted at that location and injured, but not killed, and then put in a secondary vehicle, the pickup truck that the young girl was asked to clean, or inside that livestock, or maybe they put one in there and the other. We don't know. But it seems like these victims were injured, severely injured, and then transported to another location and killed at another location.
The harrowing scene unfolding in the very spot Butler expected to pick up her children in March. Evidence found near the abandoned car suggested foul play, a pool of blood, a broken hammer, and more before the grim discovery. 2 weeks in, the women's bodies sealed in a freezer and buried deep in the Oklahoma soil turned up. Prosecutors call it a conspiracy to kill.
This is a fantastic example of the dead telling their own tale. I think one of the things that really strikes me here, they keep talking about the soiled clothing. And one of the things that we think about relative to soiled clothing is that when you think about her remains, she would be face down in a prone position so that someone could access her in order to traumatize her in the way that she was traumatized.
Kelley was designated to travel with Butler to pick her kids up.
They deserve to rot and burn in the depths of hell for all I care.
The family reportedly yelled expletives inside the courtroom. An aunt of Butler said she had to hold her brother back from attacking the suspects.
Emotional is not the word. Our family lost a beautiful, beautiful young kid.
The medical examiner believes she died quickly from a deep cut to her spinal cord and then buried up to 8 feet deep to cover up the crimes. Now, the report also shows investigators found a knife, clothing, tape, and a stun gun buried under the freezer.
She's got extensive injuries to the back of her neck, to her shoulders, which you've talked about, and even to her face. But how did they get her to that position? How was she placed there? How did she get there? When she was removed, perhaps, from the vehicle, and this is merely me speculating, we have this evidence of these injuries to her hands, which both have been ruled as incised wounds, consistent with defensive wounds.
And they planned this from February 13th, a day before Valentine's Day, up to the murder at March 30th of 2024. This is horrific.
So if we think about a knife where somebody is doing this action or presenting with it, the individual would reach up and grab the blade and it would be drugged through their hand. And this would incise the surface. And this isn't superficial. This is not a paper cut. We're talking about it goes down to the tendon and the bone and through the musculature prior to that. It would have been very painful. My thought was she attempting to fight back at this moment in time when she realized what was going on.
Stabbed 9 times in her head and neck and cut another 7 times before her body gave out. The medical examiner believes she died quickly from a deep cut to her spinal cord.
And then one of 2 things happened, in my estimation. She was either marched out to the gravesite at that point in time, or when they fell upon her, once she had been cut like this, they had to stun her. That's where you get these marks for the stun gun on the back of the
body.
neck.
But they assumed because of the pattern that it was stun gun marks. But it looked to be somewhere between 6 and 8 stun gun marks.
Yeah. If people have never seen a stun gun, it has posts on it, these stainless steel posts. And when they contact the skin, it sends a current through the body. And again, you kind of freeze into this position. There's nothing you can do to defend yourself. And when you get this many of these marks on the body, it actually crosses over into the area of torture at this point in time, where she's getting popped over and over and over and over again like this until they get her to submit. And keep in mind, these injuries that she has on her back, and right you were when you said that they don't extend very much further south of her neck. This is a very concentrated area like this. That means that somebody's physically on top of her, hammering away with this knife. Got to the point where if people will just touch the back of their neck right at the base of your skull, that blade entered her skull right there and clipped the brain stem where it controls our autonomic nervous system. So she couldn't have been able to breathe. Her heart would have stopped functioning.
God, I hope it was fast.
Me too.
Not fast enough. It will never have been fast enough. So, Joe, I'm going to call you back when they release Veronica Butler's, because my fear is that this is Jilian Kelley. She wasn't even the intended target. There's no animosity to her necessarily, but the target, Grandma Tifany, if she's the killer, hated this former partner, daughter-in-law.
Tips from the public is how a lot of these cases get solved. In this news report, that because of the public and because of this 16-year-old daughter stepping up and anonymous and people calling in tips to these authorities is what cracked this case. So kudos to the public for stepping up. When you see something or if you know something, say something.
I am so upset at what the possibilities are for the way she died.
I think Jilian was trying to protect Miss Butler is what I think happened.
Butler's autopsy report, set to be released mid-November, will be following.
Okay. All right. So that's some of the coverage going on at this time. And again, this is an ongoing case that is difficult at best, but we're going to see it through, and we're going to see that justice is served for the two victims and their families.